Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be doing a pros and cons video. I want to do a little pros and cons comparison between the Apple Watch, or just smartwatches in general, versus automatics and mechanicals. Throw the mechanicals in there as well. So we're going to be looking at a few pros and a few cons of each, and then if you want to stick around at the end, I'm going to give my own opinion as to which one, if I were going to buy one, which one I would purchase. And the reasons behind that. Yeah, so without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and roll in to the pros and cons of the Apple Watch here. All right, so we're gonna do the pros and cons here of the Apple Watch. Just jump right into it, do probably 3 pros, 3 cons. So first pro, one thing that I like about the Apple Watch is the design. Easy to read module, decently sized. I mean, it is an attractive watch. A lot of people can wear it, and it's easily wearable. It's nothing too, crazy. Probably doesn't grab the eye too much. It's kind of modest, but also has a little bit of flash. You could customize this to really be whatever you want it to be: analog, display, even though it's electronic, or this display here, digital. So that's one thing that's pretty nice. Number 2 is the OS. As I jump into it here, you have pretty much your entire phone on the watch. It makes notifications pretty nice. For example, I have the Ring app, and it shows like notifications about, neighborhood thefts, which I always get that vibration on my phone and I pull out expecting a text, but it's just the Ring app. And it makes it easy to check notifications quick. So if you're getting a call, you don't have to worry about pulling out your phone all the time. And that's also pretty nice. Number 3, and probably a big selling point for a lot of people, would be the Apple ecosystem. Plays in nicely. You pair it to your phone, you pair it to your MacBook, whatever Apple has, they go hand in hand pretty nicely, and I think that's what draws a lot of people into the Apple Watch. So those are 3 big pros that I've noticed while doing this. And then moving into the cons, I feel like the price can sometimes be a little bit high. This is the most standard edition that you can get, and one of the smallest modules, faces, that you can get, and this one's still going to be about $300, pushing $300. So it does have good functionality, and it's really good for fitness and things like that, but the price can become pretty exponentially high, especially if you want to get like the 44 millimeter. I think this is only the 40 or the 38. And then if you want to add on cellular, if you want to get a different color band, you're all going to be paying more and more and more for that. So that's just one thing that I kind of don't like. Number 2 is the fact that they come out with a new one every year. So you're kind of always going to be behind, or it feels that way. And you're always going to have to buy the next one. If you want to be always up to date on technology, you have to keep buying them. They don't stop making them, and it's not like they're super durable. It's not like they'll last forever. I think it's generally about 5 years before you have to replace the battery, but at that point, you may as well just get the next one up. And then number 3 is going to be going back to the functionality. I think some things are useless. You have to have your phone with you. It's hard to send texts. Sometimes the voice to text or speech to text messes up my words. But other than that, very solid watch. I'll do a more in-depth review of this thing probably later on, but those are the 3 main pros and the 3 main cons that I could really think of for this. So moving on to the pros and cons of the automatic / mechanical category here. So I'll start with the pros. Number 1 for me that I listed was longevity. And I say that basically meaning that if you take care of this watch and you get it serviced every so often, that it'll last you a pretty long time. Decades perhaps if you take really good care of it, but most definitely years. I have no reason as to believe why this wouldn't last a few decades, at least if you get it serviced every now and then, because the movements are made to such that they will last, if you take good care of it. And I think that's a big pro for a lot of people. Number 2, I would say, is craftsmanship in general. I think automatics and manual winds tend to just have a little bit more effort put into them, a little bit more human element, people that sit there and put it together under a microscope almost, and make sure that it's beaten right. quality control, things along those lines. And I do appreciate that in automatics and mechanical watches. I feel like the quality control and the craftsmanship is a bit higher than smart watches in general. And then my third pro is going to be the ability to modify. Now there is customization, a lot of customization on smartwatches and the Apple Watch that we looked at, but I think that automatics and manuals just have a little bit more. You can always change, you can change out pretty much everything that you see here. Bands, you could change it to any type of color band or metal bracelets. You could change the dial, you could change the bezel. I know people that have PRXs that painted the dial and splash paint on there, and they do all types of things, and you get people with Rolexes that bust them down and put diamonds on them. So it's a huge variety of mods that you can do really for these types of watches. So those are the pros, and we'll move into the cons. So number one is setting it, resetting it. If you're a casual and it's not in your best interest to do that, then these probably wouldn't be the best watches for you to have, as if you don't wear them for a few days, you're gonna have to do that. Number two is gonna be accuracy, kind of plays into that first one. You'll lose seconds on these watches. It's just inevitable to lose seconds, and over a year you could lose a couple minutes, and that's the importance of getting it serviced. But when you have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, something like digital and electronic, those things tend to stay like to the second pretty sharp. You just got to keep that battery life replaced every so often, however it needs to be. And then the third one is going to be functionality. So these watches tend to just have a few complications. Obviously you got your time, sometimes a day and a date, and then if you really want to spend a lot of money, you can get like moon phases and depth gauges and things like that. But otherwise it's not going to be as in-depth and complicated as an Apple Watch can be, with your notifications and an ecosystem around it. It's just going to be a simple time teller with a day and a date. So those are that, and we're going to move into now my own opinion about it and which one I would get here. All right, so we've gotten to the portion where I'll give my own subjective opinion on which one I want to choose, or which one I prefer out of these two categories here. And I hope I haven't alluded too much to it during the pros and cons, but if I had to choose one of these two, I would choose the automatic. And my most prominent reason as to why I would do that is just because of the longevity and kind of the timelessness of automatic watches in general. There's pieces that, were made in the 1960s and 70s, even before that are still running today, and they're passed through families as heirlooms, and they're a testament to how watchmakers and brands construct their pieces with really almost like their heart. They put their heart into the piece, and it shows craftsmanship and love of timepieces. And that's one thing that I do like about automatic and manuals. It's a bit more personal than I feel like electronic or smart watches in particular. And that's generally why I would pick the automatic. And again, no right or wrong answers to anybody who has a preference for either. That's my reason as to why I would go with an automatic. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video. I appreciate you guys for sticking around to the end. If you liked the video, and subscribe and leave a like. If you didn't, don't. It's all good. And I'll work to put the next one out in hopefully a week-ish time. If not, I'll give you guys a post update. Either way, I'll probably give you guys a post update. But I appreciate you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.